I'm moving in, my mother-in-law smiled just after falsely accusing me of cheating. Where can you kiss this marriage goodbye? My husband mumbled. If you don't apologize, I'm filing for divorce. He thought it was chess and math, but I still had one shot left. My name is Lorene. I'm 25 years old. I'm a project coordinator for a nonprofit in Portland. I met Jason at a college fundraiser when I was still a student. He was 2 years ahead of me. He was charming, a little awkward, but in a nice way, period. We dated for 5 years before we got married. Everyone said we were a perfect match, but no one warned me what it was like to marry someone who had never really left his mother's orbit. Period. We had only been married for 3 months when I started to seriously regret my decision. His mother Victoria is 50. She is fit, energetic and totally bossy. Period. She lives 30 minutes away and has no filters, no boundaries and no sense of privacy. Period. On Saturdays, she shows up. No warning, no invitation. Just a knock on the door followed by the tint of her keys. Jason always left her a spare just in case. That should have been a red flag. Period. The first time she barged in while I was still in my dressing gown, she wrinkled her nose and said, "Didn't your mother teach you to keep the house decent, even on the weekends?" I laughed awkwardly. Jason didn't say a word. He just smiled as if she was joking. She wasn't, period. From that point on, her weekend visits became routine. Whenever she found something to criticize, the complaints went undisturbed. The refrigerator was half empty. My work hours were inappropriate for a wife. Do you both work full-time? That's not how families work, my dear. When are you going to quit your little job and give me a little kid? Jason slavishly told himself it was harmless. That's just how she is, he said. But as time went on, I noticed that he was starting to give her a Saturday eco point. She came in and immediately sat down at the kitchen table. I'm starving. Make me something quick. We hadn't done our weekly shopping yet. I made a simple pasta with garlic and the last of the spinach. When I put the plate in front of her, she raised an eyebrow as if I'd served her prison food. That's it. When I was your age, I always had a roasting pan on the go in case my husband brought home unexpected guests. That's what real wives do. I stared at him, biting my tongue so hard I tasted blood. Jess and Harry, she's not wrong, baby. Maybe we should keep more food in stock, just in case I feel like screaming. Last night, we had literally talked about sticking to a minimalist grocery plan to save money and avoid waste. Period. But the next day, Jason came home with 3 grocery bags full to bursting. Half of it was junk food and bulk items that wouldn't fit in our fridge. Surprise! We're stocked up for the month, he said happily. What about our budget? Ask. Come on, Lauren. My mom's right. It's all about being prepared. That my mom's right phrase started to poison everything. Still, I tried. I woke up early to make us bento-style lunches so the produce wouldn't go bad. I packed them neatly. Every morning, he'd smile and say, "I'm lucky." But I wasn't. I was tired. I was also working full-time. I was doing the housework. I was cooking, and I was enduring a woman who would come into my house like she owned it. One Thursday afternoon, I got a text from Victoria. "So, who's that guy you were holding hands with yesterday?" I blinked. Don't try to deny it. I saw you. I took a picture. She sent the blurry, distant photo. But I knew exactly who it was. My brother Atan. He was home from college for spring break, and I'd met him near my office for lunch. We hugged each other. "That's my brother," I replied. "Of course he is, comma." She retorted. I don't believe a word you're saying, period. This woman had met Etan at our engagement dinner. She was literally sitting across from him. I'm moving in, she texted later. I need to keep an eye on you. Either that or you can kiss this marriage goodbye. I'll tell him everything. I was shaking with rage, but part of me was laughing. Jason knew Etan. He wouldn't be that gullible, would he? Those are false, period. When I got home that night, Jason was already sitting in the living room, his arms crossed, his phone face down on the coffee table. Period said to him, "You're home early." Period. He didn't smile. "Sit down." Period. I dropped my bag. I sensed something was wrong. It doesn't matter what she told you. Stop, he snapped. You hurt me, Lauren. I trusted you. He then pulled a thick paper envelope from the table and placed it between us. Divorce papers, period. Did you really consult a lawyer? I whispered. I'm not a bad guy. I'm willing to work on this if you admit what you did, if you apologize, but if you're falling in love with another man, I'd rather know now. I stared at the man I married. His expression wasn't angry. It was triumphant, as if he'd finally caught me red-handed. And suddenly, it hit me. This wasn't just about the photo, it was about controlling his need to win. Is it about the promotion? I asked quietly. He was very vocal. I had just been promoted to team leader. My salary was officially higher than his. He hadn't congratulated me. He just said, "Wow, that's good for you." I looked at the divorce papers again. I felt my face heat up, but I didn't cry. Instead, I stood up. Okay, I said softly. I'll think about it. Jason looked surprised. Yeah, that's right. 2 or 3 days, right? Is that what you said? Quiesce. I'm not that mean, but I was done playing Frank Point by the time Jason went out that night. I stood there frozen in our apartment, staring at the divorce papers he'd so proudly brandished. The living room still smelled like him, that mix of cedarwood cologne and gym sweat. But all I could smell was betrayal. He didn't ask me, he didn't talk to me. He believed what his mother told him instead of the woman who had married him, period, was the worst part. He seemed to be enjoying it, like he'd finally won a round in a competition I didn't even know we were playing, period. I headed to the kitchen. I poured myself a glass of wine and pulled out my phone. I need you and 2 friends. Truck, glove, duct tape optional. I'll buy beer. Etan, we're coming. My brother Etan was home from college for spring break. He'd planned to spend the week sleeping in and watching horror movies. Instead, he was about to help his sister burn down her wedding. Metaphorically, at 10 a.m., Etan and his 2 roommates, Logan and Malik, were standing in my apartment looking like an indie rock band moving house. Logan had brought a wagon. Malik had brought snacks. Etan had brought attitude. Show us the battlefield, he said. All that half in comma, I replied, motioning toward the bedroom. Jason's domain, period. We started in the closet. Jason owned more sneakers than perfume. I boxed each pair like they were museum pieces. Those oversized hoodies folded into trash bags, not the protein powders, the beard oil collection, the tactical flashlight he never used. Everything was neatly tucked away in the living room. Logan carefully unplugged Jason's gaming setup while Ethan packed up his Bluetooth speakers. Malik labeled the boxes. Jason's fragile masculinity. Do not open without your mother's permission. Keepsake of a man-child, period. I needed this. I packed the last item myself. A framed photo of Jesson and Victoria. It was his housewarming gift. She looked smug, clutching her face like he was still 10 years old. I carefully slid it into a box labeled Family Loom and sealed it with an extra layer of tape. By 3 p.m., everything that belonged to Jesson was in the back of the ethane truck. We drove to Victoria's house in silence when we arrived. I didn't ring the bell. I left all the boxes on her immaculate Porsche and wrote a single note. Since you control her life, you can store it too. I went back to the apartment and took a long shower. Hot water, no interruptions. Period. For once, there were no passive-aggressive comments outside the bathroom door. No Jesson waiting to complain about the lack of towels or his mother texting about something we should talk about. Period. I sat down in my towel. I looked at the empty space where her things were and felt the peace. Period. Then I took the divorce papers and ran into my lawyer's office. Quote, "I want to file today," I said. "Did he serve you the papers first?" "No, he just handed them to me to prove he was right. I want it to be official." She nodded and slid the pen across the table. I signed it firmly. The next morning, I called a real estate agent. I viewed 3 apartments. The first one smelled of mold. The second one had a dog next door that barked through the wall. The third one was perfect, quiet neighborhood, hardwood floors, south-facing windows. I stood in the living room and imagined never hearing Victoria's voice again. "I took it," I said. The agent asked if I wanted to think about it. Period. I thought about it. I put down a deposit and called Ethan. Round 2, my stuff this time. Saturday night, I moved out. I left the key to the old apartment on the kitchen counter. I didn't leave any notes. He didn't deserve any. Sunday morning at 9:42, my phone lit up with Jason on it. I let it ring 4 times before answering. He said, "Have you thought about what I said?" "Have you thought about what I said?" "I did it." Pause. "Okay. Paperwork Friday." "You what?" "Your stuff is at your mom's. Check the Porsche." "Lauren, this is our apartment." "No, I was the only one with the lease. You were just crashing with Wi-Fi access." "You're not serious." "Totally serious." The text storm started 10 minutes later. "You're going to regret this. I'm taking you to court. You cheated on me and I can prove it." I waited for him to drop the last bombshell. "I'm going to sue you for emotional distress. I have this photo." That's where I sent the bombshell. Double-check the photo. It's Etan, my brother, you know the one you kissed at the Super Bowl party? No response for 5 minutes. Then wait, are you serious? Deadly? Your mom knew. She didn't care. I could practically hear the cogs in her brain stop dead in their tracks. He tried calling again. I didn't answer until later that day. My old neighbor, Mrs. Conwet, messaged me on Facebook. "Hey sweetie, so you know, your husband has been ringing the doorbell for the past 20 minutes. I think he scared the mailman away," I said with a laugh. Then I turned off all notifications. Mondays. I went to the rental office to change the forwarding address. The landlord looked at me. "So that was your man yelling at the door?" "Yes. He came back this morning. He wouldn't leave. He said something about fixing everything. I told him you moved out." His face. You could see his world falling apart. "You called the cops." "Security took care of it. But probably next time." That night, I cooked dinner in my new apartment. Nothing fancy, just roasted vegetables and salmon. I put on some soft music, opened a bottle of wine, lit a candle. No interruptions. No one criticized the portion sizes. No one reminded me to think about Jessen's career before making big decisions. Just me, just silence. And honestly, it was beautiful. Point J, I didn't hear from Jason for 2 days, not directly anyway, but Mrs. Conant, my old neighbor, texted me again. He came back, stood outside your old door for almost an hour, kept ringing the doorbell and calling your name. When no one answered, he sat on the porch like a lost puppy until building security asked him to leave. Apparently, he claimed he just needed to explain everything. Explain what? That he preferred his mother's version to mine, that he didn't even recognize my own brother? That he tried to humiliate me with divorce papers, without any evidence? He wasn't looking for reconciliation. He was looking to reset, to maintain control. But that ship had sunk, so, on Monday afternoon, I finally responded to one of those messages. Not to talk, just to set the record straight. Jason, I didn't know he was your brother. I thought he was some guy you were sneaking around with. You knew him. And? You ate chicken wings with him. You played Call of Duty with him. You called him Lelux. John, I panicked. Okay. Me? No, you didn't panic. You didn't panic. You plotted. You printed out legal documents. You handed them to me as punishment. It wasn't panic, it was pride. He was silent for a few hours. Then Jesson. Listen, maybe we rushed things. I made a mistake. Can we talk? I didn't respond. That night, I made lasagna in my new kitchen. Jay, poured myself some wine and watched the sauce simmer against the backdrop of jazz music. I didn't check my phone. I didn't wonder where it was pointed, and I certainly didn't miss the way it stood behind me while I cooked, dispensing unsolicited advice from his mother. But more salt. Mom says bland food is a red flag. Are you sure this is the best pan for it? Mom's macaroni and cheese never stuck to the pan like that. Period. No, I didn't miss it at all. But I got curious. On Wednesday morning, I called the building's security at the old address, pretending to ask about my security deposit. Is Jesson still bothering the complex? I asked casually, and the security guard swore off. Not anymore. We had to warn him. He kept hanging around. Hoping you'd come home. You sounded like a ghost. I'm not coming home. I didn't mean it. You seemed like the kind of guy who would move forward, not back down. I thanked him and hung up. Then I blocked Gon's number. That weekend, I invited Ed to lunch to thank him. He sat across from me at a little Greek restaurant, shoving fries into his wrap like he hadn't eaten in days. So, he said, his mouth full. What's it like to be officially divorced from a man-child? Like I traded a 200-pound weight for air conditioning and hardwood floors. You deserve hardwood floors and heated towel rails. I laughed. I hadn't laughed in a long time. You know what's the craziest thing? I said. He really thought I'd come crawling back. He's not used to consequences, Ethan replied. His mother probably arranged everything for him growing up. Why would he think it would be any different? He wasn't wrong, period. Monday morning, a letter arrived at my office. There was no return address, but I recognized the handwriting. Inside, only one page. No apologies. Just this, you overreacted. I was trying to protect us. My mother was trying to help us. You didn't leave anything behind, that was the final nail. I scanned it, then folded it neatly and threw it in the shredder. Not a few weeks later, my divorce was finalized. It was surreal. 5 years of relationship, 3 months of marriage, a whole future. All of that was gone. but I didn't feel broken. I felt awake, period. I decorated my new apartment the way I wanted it. Plants everywhere, curtains deep blue, a second-hand record player that I had always wanted but that Jesson had dismissed as useless junk. Period. I listened to Nina Simon while I worked remotely in the breakfast nook. I signed up for a Saturday yoga class. I went out with friends again, not for couples dinners or family barbecues, but to places where I could breathe. Period. One afternoon, I ran into a mutual friend, Megan, who had gone to college with Jason. We ran into each other at a bookstore downtown. Quote, "Lauren," she said, surprised. "Wow, you look really good." Period. I was just enjoying some quiet time. Quote. She hesitated. "I ran into Jesson last week. He told me you left him without warning. That it was because of a misunderstanding." Quote. I raised an eyebrow. "Is that true?" "Yes," she said. "He said you were emotional, that you acted before listening to him." Period. Groaned softly. "Did he mention the part where he brought me the divorce papers because his mother misidentified my brother?" His mouth dropped open. "Wait, what?" "That's what this is about." It was the match. But the fire still burned. Megan shook her head. "God, I'm sorry. I had no idea he was so far away from his mother." "You don't have to apologize." "I did well," I said. "You are always too strong to be someone's doormat." That evening, I stood on my balcony, sipping tea and watching the city lights twinkle in the twilight. I thought about the version of me that had once wanted to make things right. The version that would have apologized just to keep the peace. Period. She was gone. In her place stood someone better, wiser, calmer, less bothered, and freer.